So some of the problems that you guys ran into, and if you're using Illustrator for the first time, which many of you are in your Windows Virtual Desktop, is that you're having issues with the brushes. And I know that I showed this a second ago during work time, but in case you were away from your computer, if it was muted or whatever. So the key is you do have a bunch of different brushes that you can use. So for example, if you go to draw and you have nothing, if it's not letting you draw, if it looks something like this, right? Number one, it could be because your layer is locked. But if it's not because your layer is locked, then it's probably because you haven't defined a brush yet. And you can define a brush by coming over here. I'm going to close this to Window, Brushes, and I'm going to grab this. Hold on, let me move this over. I grab a screenshot of that. So Window, Brushes, and that should open up your brushes. Now, there's a couple of different things that you can do. You can make a new brush, or you can show brushes. But if you only have like one black dot up here and nothing else, that means you don't have any brush libraries open. And so what you need to do is you need to open your brush library. Now you got a bunch of different choices. You got arrows, artistic, borders, bristle brush, decorative, all that stuff. Specifically also if you have like a Wacom digitizing tablet, you can use the 6D art pen brushes. You can use those anyways, but they're supposed to be better for your pressure sensitivity and things like that if you have a Wacom tablet. But let's just go to plain old artistic. So I've got artistic calligraphic, and that's what opens up. So by opening up artistic calligraphic, you can grab the pen and load up your brush. Grab your brush, and then you can draw with it. And you'll see that some of them are at an angle, and that's why they call it calligraphic, because, if you're going to do calligraphy or whatever, then that's what that would look like. So when I have this stroke selected, when I have this line selected, I can, obviously that I can change the weight of it by coming here to stroke and making it larger. So anyways, if we come here, we can select different brushes, right? Check that out. So in this brush library, we have different things that we can apply to it. And that's the difference in using Illustrator versus something like just doing it in Photoshop. So for example, if we say open brush library and I go to bristle brush, right? Now we've got a bunch of different bristle brushes that I can use. And of course I can change the weight of them. And I can change the color. So if I grab this and I go Window, Swatches, I can change the color and I can adjust everything. So it's pretty cool. But again, and if you're having problems, drawing, it's probably because you'd need to assign a brush. Now, the other thing is, remember that you can click and add to that. Keep drawing with your pen tool, not your brush tool. There is something that you can do kind of with the brush tool, but we're not going to mess with that today. One other thing that I want to show you, because many of you have been tracing with your, let's see, I'm going to go back to artistic calligraphic. And well, actually, let's go back to the fish. All right, so I'm going to click on this fish. I'm going to copy it, and I'm actually going to bring it back to this document. So let's just say, for example, you have drawn this shape, and you want to edit it or add new points or take points away. Well, while you've got it selected, underneath the pen tool is the anchor point tool. Each one of these nodes, each one of these squares is an anchor point. And by using the anchor point tool, you can change either, like if you did a sharp corner, which I'll do real quick. So I'm going to draw, if I did something like this, right? So if I grab the anchor point tool, I can grab this point, and instead of it being a sharp corner, I can click and drag, and now I can make it a curve. And I can do the same thing over here. Or vice versa. If I click on that sharp corner or a curved corner, I can click and turn it into or back into a sharp corner. That's the anchor point tool. Now, underneath your direct selection tool, I guess I'll do a screen capture of that, is the lasso tool. And what that does is it allows you to grab like certain, just the points that you want. So like if I just want those 2 points selected. So you see that I grabbed them with the lasso tool. And now using my arrow tools on my keyboard, I can move it up, can move it over, can do whatever, or I can click off of it and click just this one, and I can move just this point. That's with the lasso tool. But what we want to see is add the anchor point tool. And if I have the anchor point tool, now I have to have this shape selected. I can't add an anchor point if it's not selected. And I can click on the line and I can add anchor points. And what that means is if I go back to my direct selection tool, I now have additional anchor points. Right? And now if this is too weird, if I don't like it, if I've got too many points, I can come here and I can go to my delete anchor point tool and get rid of that, and get rid of that, get rid of that one, and so forth and so on. And I can get rid of all of them until I think the minimum points that you have to have a shape, yeah, it would be 3, right? So otherwise it's just going to be 2 points. So that is under the direct selection tool. So click and hold. And remember, just like everything else, I can delete it. I can increase the stroke. I can change the corners if these are rounded corners, if I want them to be sharp, etc. So again, so if I came here with this one, I could click with the direct selection tool. I can edit it. Ugh, looks like salamander or something. Or with my anchor point tool, I could, I don't know why I'd want to do this, but I could make it sharp like that. So there is a learning curve to Illustrator, but there's a reason why cartoons like the Powerpuff Girls or South Park now and other things are done in vector-based animation because they're cleaner, they're scalable, they work better. Personally, I love watching like old episodes of The Simpsons because, and we'll talk about this when we do animation, you can see that it's ink and paint on different transparent layers of plastic that are layered on top of each other, because sometimes you can actually see the shadows of the different layers, because that's what they did. They put it down and took a picture of it, put another piece down, took another picture. So it's pretty cool. But with the vector graphics, everything is editable. So are there any questions on this stuff while I've got this open? Everybody's muted, just so you know. So what we're working on now is we're finishing up. Today is Thursday. I'd like to see your logo finished up by tomorrow so you know where to set it up. Also, I will have the recordings of today's class and all the previous classes on my YouTube channel. So please, it should be invaluable to you to go back and see what you've missed. I'll just do it by the, by the dates.